Yeah. So we're back with D2D in the chat room here on 94.7 FM, and we're still hanging out at Mr. P's on Hacks Cross in the beautiful city of Memphis. We had Mr. Alex in here, our owner, but I don't think he's with us anymore. We're gonna move forward, guys, and talk a little bit about submission. When you hear the word submission, I get it that I'm gonna get different perspectives, but I want to hear what you guys think about the word submission, because many times it's viewed as the bad word. How do you see it?
In today's terms, give a little to get a little. It's so to speak what it is nowadays. It's not what it used to be for different generations. Submission used to mean that, to submit. I think today's world, it's almost a tug of war.
Compromise.
A compromise, literally a compromise. You meet me halfway, I meet you halfway.
Okay.
And that's kind of what submission is kind of coming into nowadays.
Okay.
I don't know how it got there, though. I mean, I don't disagree with you, but I don't know how it got there because, again, I'm an English major. The denotation of that word should be that somebody gives in.
True.
The connotation of that word could be exactly what you said, that somebody gives in one time and then somebody else gives in the next time, which is a give and take. Those are two different terms, and if we have to apply them to make for the world to continue to spin on its axis, then fine. But again, I'm about definitions. People, if we say honestly what we want to the person that is the target of who we are addressing, that want to, at the beginning, and they are able to say that back to us at the beginning, not in the same day, but in that same 2, 3, 4, 5 week frame. You should be able to do any contract. You can buy a house in a couple of weeks. You should be able to get a contract done with people in 5 to 6 weeks. So if we've said those kinds of things and then said no to those kinds of things that we don't feel that we want to deal with, then we should be able to clear the air or stay together in 5 weeks without any commitments and babies made, period. But if we rush into all of that euphoric love at first sight and 2 days or 3 dates before we do it, if we get to all that kind of stuff before the reality of actually getting the contract down, see, because getting the contract down will decide whether or not we're going to stay or go, period.
Some feelings going to be hurt.
Yeah, and it's okay if feelings are hurt, if nothing else is hurt, because we can rub on our feelings and get those done. But at least we realize that over the time that we tried to like each other, it just didn't work. And that happened before the ring was bought and all of that other stuff. I mean, we rushed. My problem, and I'll shut up after this, my problem with life right now is that we do things too fast. God never intended for us to be going as fast as we're going.
We can't wait to die. But we have to adjust.
We can't wait to die.
We do have to adjust.
We got to adjust, and then that's where submissiveness is coming to the point where it's not what it used to be, because things are going so fast. So it's no longer, I'm going to wait for you to take control and then I'll submit to you. Now it's, hey, what can you do just as much as what can I do for you? Because we're meeting in the middle.
What can we do together?
We're two separate people driving on the same path together, but yet our experiences are almost the same, but we're in separate cars. At some point in time, I can decide to go left and you can decide to go right. What are you going to give me? What am I going to give you? And that's the new form of submission that's going on in relationships. What are you going to give a little bit? What am I going to give a little bit? Because everybody wants to be, no, I'm not going to say everybody wants to be the head of household per se, but everybody wants their little give nowadays in the relationship.
Man, if we can make the house function, it don't even matter what
It doesn't really matter.
It don't.
Functionality is,
If we can make it happen together, look, I could be quiet. I could shut up all week. But when it comes down, all right, well, look, it's my turn to put my input on this.
And
I'm strong suited for this.
But
this
you
topic.
gave all week.
Exactly.
You gave all week.
So that's how I feel.
Okay, so
Who let them young fellas in here? Who let them young guys in here?
So again, when you talk about submission, you, by definition, somebody has to give.
Yeah, true.
I would agree. But if you swap it out, you always swap it out. So biblically, it was never designed for
Give and take.
to be a give and take.
Spiritually, it was though.
Now, spiritually, it said we love the woman. Spiritually, it says she submits to us. But if you ain't loving her right, it also says she's not going to submit. And loving somebody takes training and time. Again, I think we all go into relationships with stuff, either from childhood or former relationships. And if you can't cleanse yourself of that, you can never be whole with anybody. But I think when I listen to all of these great women talk, they talk about, I want a man to take charge. I want him to be the man.
Really,
But I
we
hear-
go into character.
They won't
Wait,
say it,
no, I'm
but they
sorry.
want us to earn it. They
But-
won't say it.
It won't come
They
out
Oh,
won't
of
even
that.
say it
they'll
though.
say it, but then you gotta earn it.
Yeah, you gotta earn
And
it.
by right, you should.
Oh, I got to interject.
Okay.
My favorite least favorite woman term is, if I got to tell you, then I don't want it.
That is
Well,
true.
they do it. I agree.
If I got to tell you what I want, then I don't want it. That's my least favorite female term.
My
man.
favorite thing to say is you won't get anything you don't ask for.
I'm not a mind reader.
I'm not a mind reader.
Help us, Lord.
Now,
Help us.
now young folks can say,
Boy, we will be a lot farther.
We'll be a lot farther along than we are
Okay,
right
guys.
now if I was a mind reader.
All right, so here, I wasn't quite ready for this yet, but I'm gonna move to
Uh-oh.
this because
Okay,
this just kind of is a great segue into this. So, on Facebook or some part of social media, there was this video that had gone viral about this guy that had been married for 18 years, and he was all braggadocious about how he took care of his wife for 18 years. He paid all the bills. You know, many times I've heard women say, all I had to do was buy the groceries, and he did it. And he said, no, she didn't buy the groceries. I did everything for this woman. And he was bragging about it, and there were men commenting saying, he did what a man should do, right? There were other people that were saying, yeah, he did that, but what was he looking for in return? Was he controlling? Did he expect that she would give him a free pass to infidelity because he took care of her? What comes along with it? I'm not saying anybody is right or wrong in their view. I just want to know how you guys view it, because I think when we started talking about she wants you to be the man and so forth, because when we were talking, when the women were talking, they did not see submission as a bad word. In fact, for them, it was like they knew biblically God didn't intend for us to submit to a knucklehead. It would be a man that would be,
Called.
yes. And
everybody-
so just tell me, just talk a little bit about it.
so this man did everything? Then my first question was the woman happy with him doing everything?
She seemed to
'Cause
have.
some people
Well, I
don't-
mean, she seemed to have been. If you watch the video, she's in the background, in a very submissive kind of way. Yes, and so that's the reason I think some of the comments were like, "What does she give up? What part of herself
They weren't
is she
sitting up
giving
at
up?"
the front of the table together. She might have been sitting behind him while he did all the talking.
Right. Well, it was almost
What,
that
now these
verbatim.
people are married,
Yes, for 18 years.
so that term helpmate wasn't in her vocabulary. She was just made it.
Very good point. There were some comments that said
No, her
in
help was
2000
different. She just had some different kind of help.
I feel you, bro.
She just had some different
She
kind
helped
of
in that kind of way.
And that's all he, I mean, come
If
on.
that's all he wanted.
Let me tell you something about contracts.
Uh-oh.
Let me tell you something. I'm in a
Talk
courthouse.
to me.
I'm in a courthouse.
Talk to us, talk to
I'm in a courthouse every day. I know a little bit about contracts.
Okay.
Contracts are generally between two entities. There's language that goes in contracts that outside entities have no clue is in there.
That's how they get it.
So therefore, we can't judge when that contract becomes dissolute, we can't judge who was wrong in the contract unless we read all the language. That's why lawyers make so much money.
Because they read it.
Because they know what the language is. So the thing I'm trying to say most especially here is when two people are into something as intimate as a relationship, a marriage, they have language. Babyface did some wonderful words about language. We got a language that's better than talking, girl. Well, I mean, how you gonna write down that language? But they knew what it was. You understand what I'm saying? They knew what that better than talking girl language was. So when we are trying to assess and define and pin down specifically what it was in the contract and who did what, divorce courts can't ever do it because there's too much emotion in the breakup for the truth to ever be something. I'm not saying everybody's lying, but the emotions override the truth. The emotions of the breakup override the
Bend it a
truth.
little bit. Bend it a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
But-
Absolutely. But so
I have a question for you.
Okay, please.
You said that the contract, and I agree, nobody but those two knows
That's the-
exactly what's in the
That's
contract
right.
unless somebody else drew it up. So are you saying to me as a husband of that lady that that's probably all I expected was her?
No, I'm saying I don't know.
You saying you don't know?
I'm saying because that's the
word.
I'm trying to.
We don't know
trying to figure
exactly
it out.
Guys,
what-
raise your hand if you would. I'm just asking the room. How many of you would have done that? That she could have stayed at the house.
It depends on what I actually. I feel like we don't know enough of what she did.
No, you ain't got to know.
I gotta know what she did
No, 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 I'm
because we
saying
all know what I did. So
You
it's a
married-
one-sided story.
You're married now, right?
Uh-huh.
So all your wife has to do right now, I'm just asking, would just be stay at the house.
No.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. If I had one, no, that ain't what I.
Huh?
She can't stay there.
No, she just can't just exist.
But the word is
You just- my
the
wife
word
is
is
just.
budget.
I'm taking care of everything, and all she's doing is just
We're
basically
black
assisting.
people around this table. The word is budget.
That's right.
Budget.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, if I could afford for
let my
her
wife
to
stay
not do
home
anything,
24,
she would still do something because her self-purpose.
I think so.
She has to have her own.
Exactly.
She has to have her own
That said,
self-purpose.
in this age,
What- remember-
independent women, because if I were to marry somebody today, I don't want to stay at home. I didn't spend all these years in school and prepare, just to sit at home. Now, I mean, if I married a millionaire and really truly didn't have to work, then I'd be able to do some of the things that I've always wanted to do. I'm saying that would be
Bucket
more
list
like
out the
ministry
way.
stuff or something like that. I'm saying like working with young girls or whatever the case.
But would
my-
you marry
my
a broke
point
guy and
is-
let him stay at home?
I would not. I would not. Now, but
We're not
you
saying she's
asked.
broke, but
okay.
she's not spending any money. So at this point, we're saying
Hey,
we can't. It won't flip on us. That scenario would never turn around and be like, hey, you'll never see a woman on Facebook say, I took care of this man for 18 years. Could you imagine the comments under that?
man, where
I
did you
did
find him, sis?
everything. Right, I did everything for 18 years. He didn't have to do nothing. I've never even heard that in a good connotation from a woman.
Oh,
Facts.
we talked about some real life situations with the girl talk about some guys that are in that situation where the woman is taking care of them. So,
Women put up with a lot.
real. That
Women
is
put up with a
real.
lot.
That is a real live scenario. They do.
More power to you.
But were you gonna say something? Because I felt like I cut you off. Were you gonna say something?
No.
Okay. So you guys were gonna tell me in this age of independent women,
I never met one.
how?
I hear it all the time, but I've never met one.
So when you say you've never met one, I'm assuming that you have your own subjective definition of what you see as independent, because I know you're sitting.
I'm back to English major. I know what it means. Self-sufficient is what independent means. And God didn't put any of us on this earth to be self-sufficient. So the fact that we're gonna take on the armor of independence, male or female, is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous because no man is an island. How many quotes do I have to do out of this?
I guess I feel like if
independent
we're
woman submit.
going to dig that deep into terminology on.
But that's the communicate. I mean, I'm sorry, but we lose things because of lack of communication, and we will not be able to communicate if everybody doesn't know what words mean. That's one of my biggest things. I've raised 4 boys, and they're going to all be halfway successful, primarily because of the fact that they understand the language that they're indigenous to in this country, which is English. They picked up a few more languages on the way, but still, they'll be able to understand what's going on around them. And when women and men talk, there's not a men from Mars language, women from Venus language. We all speak in English if we live in this country, pretty much. And if we get to a place where we don't know what one another is saying, we should stop right there and make sure we do. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so I'm going to, in the best manner that I know how, I'm going to define what I mean by independence as it relates to this question. Okay, when I say in the world of in this world of independent women, I'm speaking of women that are taking care of their household on their own without a man. Okay, I'm speaking of that woman that has her career and that is able to make those provisions for her household on her own. And before we go into it, it is time for us to take a break. So you guys have a moment to think about that, and we will be right back on the Gospel Giant 94.7 FM.